To know, yes, I like the movie. I know. I mean, I wish
because it captured.
I think it clarified the themes of the novel. It clarified that the novel was actually a critique of male behavior.
I think the themes, well, almost like everything. I mean, I think the meaning of everything becomes clearer after a 10-year period. Yeah, novels, films.
American Psycho is a work of fiction that you can interpret in many different ways and with many different perspectives. But at the end of the day, it is basically what the author of the source material, Bret Easton Ellis, said it was, which was a story that critiques male behavior, especially in the environment that was New York in the 1980s, the rise of yuppie culture and all the hedonism and everything that was going on in that city at that time. Nevertheless, people have walked away with many different takes on this particular film and also the book, whether it be collective identity, the dangers of consumerism, materialism, and the wealthy just getting away with it. But at the end of the day, it's exactly what Bret Easton Ellis stated that it was. It's a commentary on male behavior, especially at that time in New York City. The book, which was released in 1991, could not have been adapted to film at that time without receiving a lot of backlash, and the book itself also received a lot of backlash as well. Now, eventually, this particular book would be put to screen, and that, of course, is what we're talking about, is the movie. And don't worry, we'll talk about the book a little bit too, but it was put to screen by director Mary Herron, who had also stated in an interview with Charlie Rose that this was the type of film that would be best for the millennium. It would be understood better years after the book's release. Still, though, at the same time, many people have come away with multiple different takes on the film. It's about collective identity, the dangers of consumerism, materialism, and the wealthy just getting away with it. But as Ellis stated, at the end of the day, it's a commentary on male behavior. But for the purposes of this video, I'm going to be focusing more on the theme of the loss of personal identity and how it is that this film is a warning against that, and also a warning against becoming a soulless being, stemming from the unceasing need to belong to a group and the fixation of material wealth along with status. But before diving into this video essay, I want you to know that there will be two videos on this film. This video will be focusing on the main themes, and yes, I will be talking about Bateman a little bit in this video essay and the murders, along with the whole theory of whether it was in his head or not. The second video will be more of a character analysis on Patrick Bateman himself, and of course we'll be talking more about the book in that video essay, but that video essay will also be answering all the additional theories around this film, of which there are many. Now, before we get started, let me give you the video structure so that way you guys can know how this video is going to go. The first part of this video essay, we're going to be talking about the characters and the collective as well as the world that Patrick is in. In the second part of the video, we're going to be speaking about Bateman himself. In part 3, we're going to be speaking more about what Bret Easton Ellis wanted, his actual vision, and of course his actual warning itself, and what led him to writing this book. And the last part of the video, we're going to be speaking a lot about the ending of the film and whether it was actually in his head or not. And with that right there out of the way, now let's go ahead and dive in. The first thing that sticks out when watching American Psycho is that the group of men that Patrick hangs out with, they're pretty much, how do I say, indiscernible. There's not really anything about these men that distinguishes one another at all. I mean, there really isn't. It's almost as if to say, if you've seen one, you've seen them all. You could definitely interchange one out for another.
Well, who is it then?
It's Paul Allen. It's not Paul Allen. Paul Allen's on the other side of the room over there.
Who's he with?
We will be coming back to misidentification a little bit later on in the video essay, but the point is this right here. There's not really anything distinguishable about any of these men. I mean, they really and truly are almost like carbon copies of each other, even though obviously they have different suits. Their faces are different, maybe their hairstyles are different, but in overall essence, all these men are the same. Basically, as mentioned, if I didn't say it before, they're almost interchangeable. Like you could switch out one for the other and not know the difference or not know which person is in fact different. These men are about as identical as you can get without actually being identical. These men are superficial, they're shallow, they're surface level, and to go on top of that, the misidentification, as mentioned earlier, is for the most part been normalized. It's who these men are. It really and truly is a collective identity. And this collective spends most of its time thinking about dinner reservations at Dorsia or Espace, or the name brands of clothes, the labels, the colognes, even hair care routine, skincare products, things of that nature there. I mean, there's a heavy emphasis on name brands in this story. For example, you've got Calvin Klein, Hugo Boss, Oliver Peoples glasses. You've also got Valentino and Armani suits, and of course...
Where did you get that overnight bag?
Jean-Paul Gaultier.
And that right there was said with absolute discernment, which brings us the opportunity to go to part 2 in this video, which is we need to talk about Patrick, so let's get to Patrick Bateman. The film and the book is called American Psycho, so therefore you think that Patrick Bateman is in fact a psycho who has done several evil things over the course of the story, and that is in fact true. However, if we gotta ask the question, is Patrick Bateman evil, or is he a villain? I'll say this right here. Yeah, but at the same time, I have to agree with the man who portrayed Patrick Bateman in this story, that right there, of course, being Christian Bale, and what he said to Charlie Rose when he was asked about this back in 2000.
Like that, you never get to play anything else because you're stuck in everybody's imagination as that person. But Bateman is not a... I could never really view him just as a villain. Pure and simple, because he's so ridiculous, you know. He's not your ordinary kind of Hannibal Lecter kind of scary villain, because you laugh at him, you know, never with him at all. So I was never really concerned and didn't take any of those career suicide threats seriously.
In fact, it sort of, you on. Yeah.
Exactly, it sort of was exciting.
Exactly, he's way too ridiculous for anyone to see him as a villain. I mean, the skincare routine, the constant focus on name brands, the vanity, the scripted talking points.
Well, we have to end apartheid for one, and slow down the nuclear arms race, stop terrorism, and world hunger. We have to provide food and shelter for the homeless, and oppose racial discrimination, and promote civil rights, while also promoting equal rights for women.
The obsession with Dorsia, and by the way, the rest of the guys have a bit of obsession with Dorsia as well. And of course, there's also the other, let's just say, weird acts or weird sayings that Patrick has. Let me play a montage of that as well.
Try getting a reservation at Dorsia now, you fucking stupid!
Dean said about women?
Ed Gein, maitre d' a canal bar?
No. Serial killer, Wisconsin in the 50s.
And what did Ed say?
He said, when I see a pretty girl walking down the street, I think two things. One part of me wants to take her out and talk to her, be real nice and sweet and treat her right.
And what'd the other part of him think?
What her head would look like on a stick.
$25.
You're a fucking ugly bitch. I want to stab you to death, then play around with your blood.
I like to dissect girls. Did you know I'm utterly insane?
Ask me a question.
So what do you do?
I'm into, murders and executions mostly.
Do you like it?
If you don't shut your fucking mouth, I will kill you.
He's too fucking insane and too much of a riot to take seriously. Also, he's quite erratic. I mean, like I said before, he's obviously psychotic, and more than likely he is suffering from more than one mental disorder. There's something else about Patrick that also needs to be said, and it's this here. It feels like, for the most part, he's an unreliable narrator, meaning that a lot of the things that he says might not be trustworthy, but I also have a separate theory on this as well, and I think that most of it's false bravado. I'll expand on that a little bit more here in a second, but he has narcissistic tendencies as well, and for the most part, the most important thing for Patrick is fitting in.
Because I want to fit in.
And this right here is probably the perfect segue to talk about the business card scene, because this right here is the scene where the themes of the film fully come out. Now, I want to say this before we go any further. There's a lot about Patrick that we're going to be discussing in the character analysis video that's going to be much, much more expansive than what I'm talking about here. But if you pay very close attention to the scene, not only so much to what he says in thought, but also his body language when the business cards are actually being unveiled, you see a lot of insecurity inside Patrick, and you find out that for the most part, he's full of bluster and false bravado. The scene also catches the whole bit about misidentification. Here you go.
Hello, Halberstram. He's mistaken me for this dickhead, Marcus Halberstram. It seems logical because Marcus also works at PNP and in fact does the same exact thing I do. He also has a penchant for Valentino's suits and Oliver Peoples' glasses. Marcus and I even go to the same barber, although I have a slightly better haircut.
So how's the ransom account going, Marcus?
It's all right.
Really?
Let's see Paul Allen's card. Look at that subtle off-white coloring. The tasteful thickness of it. Oh my God. It even has a watermark.
Something wrong? Patrick? You're sweating.
And of course, Patrick has got to let us know that he has a better haircut and that he wears Oliver People's glasses just like Marcus Halberstram. And of course, Paul Allen even calls him Halberstram when the two meet up a little bit later on. Don't worry, we'll get back to more Patrick Bateman isms, and we'll definitely discuss some of those in the character analysis video as well. But the thing is this right here. All of this over some business cards. Now, to the normal person, these business cards that get showcased don't really seem that different, even though Van Patten's card is a little bit more pronounced and Bryce's business card is a little bit different in the overall coloring of the words itself. But for the most part, the phone number's the same. They pretty much all look the same place. You would have to ask yourself what kind of person would get so upset about a business card or somebody else having a better business card than yourself. And my response to that would be somebody who's absolutely ridiculous, like Patrick Bateman. Many reviewers have wanted to look at his skincare routine like at the beginning of the film, and there's a lot there to look at, especially given the fact that the very first time that you see Patrick's face, he's looking at himself not in the mirror, but in the reflection from a picture that he has inside of his home. A lot of vanity, overinflated ego, but like I said before, clearly false when you actually look at it. And why in the world would he have false bravado? Well, he tells you in two separate scenes at the beginning of the film that Patrick Bateman, for the most part, is an idea. I have an idea of a Patrick Bateman. I'm simply not there. Let me play these two clips back to back.
There is an idea of a Patrick Bateman, some kind of abstraction, but there is no real me, only an entity, something illusory. And though I can hide my cold gaze, and you can shake my hand and feel flesh gripping yours, and maybe you can even sense our lifestyles are probably comparable, I simply am not there. I have all the characteristics of a human being. Flesh, blood, skin, hair. But not a single clear, identifiable emotion, except for greed and disgust.
I have skin, blood, tissue, but something illusory. I'm simply not there. Which is exactly what the writer of the source material, Bret Easton Ellis, was trying to warn about when it came to this particular story. So let's talk about Bret Easton Ellis's message. When Bret Easton Ellis wrote the book, and many people have viewed this source work as a critique on capitalism, which is kind of strange because Bret Easton Ellis himself is a capitalist. Yes, I also know that he's a gay man, and I've heard the theory about Patrick Bateman being a gay man, just simply trying to come on out. This is his way of coming out of the closet. I've heard that theory before, and we'll be talking about that in the second video, but the thing is this right here. Bret Easton Ellis claimed that he wrote this book when he was at a pretty depressive stage in his life. He was dealing with all the consumerism, all the materialism in his work, and to go on top of that, he claimed that he even felt like he was becoming Patrick Bateman himself, the character that he wrote about. Not to mention there were also other characters that are like Patrick Bateman in the Bateman orbit in the other books that he has written. The book about the laws of attraction, that right there is another one where he discussed this, but the point is this right here. And he discussed this in an interview that he did with the Oregonian or Oregon Live, that he felt like he was becoming a lot like the person he was writing about, that right there, of course, being Patrick Bateman. At the same time, Ellis was trying to get across that this right here is the end result of corporatism, crony capitalism. Like I said before, Ellis wasn't exactly critiquing capitalism. He was critiquing the consumerist aspects of it and how if it's unchecked, you could end up with somebody like this or the group that Patrick is a part of, people who are soulless, people who don't care about anything but profit. And of course, to go on top of that, wealth, status, restaurants like, say, Dorsia, the spas. It's basically the next thing, the next big thing is a hit for these people. And that right there is kind of what he was warning against. But soulless, focused on status, focused on materialism, basically someone without empathy. He felt like he was becoming very, very much a psychopath, but also a ridiculous psychopath, and many people have interpreted this as him making fun of what he was becoming at the time. And of course, like I said before, there is a lot in this film, a lot in this dark comedy that a lot of people find enjoyable because, once again, it is a film that is, quite frankly, absolutely chaotic, and its lead is, in fact, very, very much ridiculous. These characters are all interchangeable, and if you think about this whole notion of him killing all these people is really his way of trying to stand out from a crowd of interchangeable drones with no real identity. Or at least no personal identity, because the personal identity has been lost. The point is this right here. It's a story about becoming a soulless drone. But as ridiculous as the character is, as ridiculous as the murders are, and as ridiculous as the film can be from time to time, it's now time that we talk about the ending of the film and ask the question, was it in his head? Well, I want to say this really quick. If you ask Bret Easton Ellis, the writer of the book, it's all in his head. And as someone who's read the book, let me just go ahead and say that it's a book that's roughly right around 380 pages of social satire and mostly just Patrick Bateman giving you his thoughts about himself and also thoughts about other people. There's only about maybe 10 to 20 pages where something violent happens, and there's only like a 4-page bit where the violence gets absolutely insane. It's pretty obvious if you read the book that this right here was in his head. However, if you ask director Mary Herron, she had a different take altogether.
One thing I think is a failure on my part is people keep coming out of this film thinking that it's all a dream, and I never intended it. All I wanted was it to be ambiguous in the way that the book was.
Why did they think that?
I think it's a failing of mine in the final scene that I just got the emphasis wrong, because I should have left it just more open-ended without wanting to give the plot away. It makes it seem like it's, I guess clearly, because people keep saying this to me, it makes it look like it was all in his head, and it's, as far as I'm concerned, it's not.
When discussing the end of this film, most people go ahead and point to the drawings at the end of the video, the ones that were found by Patrick's secretary, Jean, as receptionist. And they go ahead and look at that and they say, well, obviously this where it had to have been in his head. And they also look at the last scene with the lawyer where he's talking to Patrick, and here once again is misidentification.
Don't you know who I am? I'm not Davis. I'm Patrick Bateman. Listen very, very carefully. I killed Paul Allen. And I liked it. I can't make myself any clearer.
But that's simply not possible. And I don't find this funny anymore.
It never was supposed to be. Why isn't it possible?
It's just not.
Why not, you stupid bastard?
Because I had dinner with Paul Allen twice in London. Just 10 days ago.
No, you...
Okay, so there's a lot that lends credence to it all being in his head. I mean, the notebook at the end, his secretary seeing all the drawings. There's also the bit where he is chasing one of the prostitutes down with a chainsaw, and you would think that somebody in the apartment complex would actually hear this, but then again, though, there are others out there that sort of say that this right here is just further proof that everybody's kind of stuck in their own little world and nobody cares. I understand that there, and I've also given credence to that as well, and I don't think that that's enough. And then, of course, you've also got the bit where he goes to the ATM machine, it says, "Feed me a stray cat," and then, of course, he's able to blow up a cop car with just one bullet, or just a few 9mm rounds. And then, of course, he also spins out of a revolving door and shoots a guy from afar. Yeah, this right here is just completely and totally unbelievable. There's other bits and pieces, and don't worry, I'll talk about that in the video that I have coming out after this one. It's going to be more of a character analysis on Patrick. But still, though, we also do entertain the possibility that it was, for the most part, real. As mentioned before, with the prostitute leaving the apartment and the chainsaw, like I said before, it's possible that everybody's just kind of stuck in their own little world and nobody cares. Now, I can already hear somebody saying, well, he dropped this chainsaw all the way down to the bottom of the apartment complex and it actually found a way to hit the girl, which is damn near impossible. And that right there is 100% correct, 100% true. There's also the bodies, the die yuppie scum bit where you see it on the wall. Don't you think that maybe it's possible that somebody would, I don't know, maybe pick up on the smell? Obviously, this first type of stuff that might make you think that this right here is obviously in his head. But also at the same time, given everything that we've talked about over the course of this video, it's possible that because these guys are interchangeable, the misidentification, that nobody cares. Meaning that he could have killed everybody the exact same way that he did and nobody would care at all. And then to go on top of that, also, somehow or another, he changes Paul Allen's voicemail, his answering service, and everybody thinks that Paul Allen is in London. Now, there is a whole subplot that I did not cover in this video here, and that right there, of course, would be the character of Donald Kimball and the investigation looking into Paul Allen's disappearance. I'm going to cover that more in video number 2 because there's a lot there that sort of suggests that Patrick Bateman probably did do some of the murders, which is what I think really happened. Okay, so bear with me on this. I think that some of these murders happened and some of these murders did not happen. Obviously, the sequence where he goes completely crazy right before he confesses and calls the lawyer, I don't think any of that happened. I don't think that him killing the prostitutes the way that he did in the apartment with the chainsaw happened. But I do think that him killing the homeless man happened. I also think him killing Paul Allen happened. I also think that this girl who's walking beside him, or that he's walking beside after leaving the ATM in the first time he went to the ATM machine in the movie, yeah, I think that he probably did her. And I also believe that not only did he do her, but he also did the model that he ultimately left the club with. You see her head inside the refrigerator before he gets deep into it with Jean when he invites her over. But to me, the scene that sort of like nails it for me is the apartment when he goes back there and he finds out that all the bodies, everything has been cleaned up. And you get the impression from the realtor that she just wants him to leave. I'm going to play some of this for you.
You saw the ad in the Times?
No. Yeah. I mean, yeah. In the Times.
There was no ad in the Times. I think you should go now.
But I think... I want to know what happened here.
Don't make any trouble, please. I suggest you go.
It seems to me like, and I know I didn't cover it in this video, but seeing how it is that the disappearance of Paul Allen was something that they wanted to keep quiet. Also, the fact that this was apparently Paul Allen's apartment. This is also something else that's going on here is that, yeah, if you really think about it, it looks to me like she's just trying to get him the hell out of the building because she doesn't need anybody who's crazy around hindering the possibility of a sale. It just kind of goes back to the overall theme of the film. Soulless people, concentrating strictly on profit and profit alone. But that right there is just my take, guys. Now, guys, like I said before, there's going to be a second video out where I'm going to be going much, much deeper into these theories, as well as the character of Patrick Bateman, and that video will probably come out after this video here. It will probably be a little bit shorter because I'm not going to be going through every single theme, but mostly just Patrick. But you guys give me your thoughts in the comment section. I would love to hear what you guys think. You guys tell me if you think it was all in his head or if he actually did the murders. You guys say what you think of the video itself. Tell me what you think of the film. If you guys can, please hit the like button. Please subscribe. Please share. And like I said before, please comment. And I'll see you guys later.